I took some notes from an essay. It's an essay or an audio excerpt from Alan Watts on, it's called The Psychedelic Explosion. And it's a very long audio excerpt. I believe it's 3 hours and 49-minute excerpt. So I'm just going to focus on the bits, the parts that I find particularly interesting or relevant. Alan Watts wants to talk about psychiatry. The first thing he says is that psychiatry is not really exploring the mind. It is trying to stand outside and understand psychiatric problems through looking at patients and writing down their symptoms without really knowing anything about it. He goes on to say, psychiatry is completely diabolical. Almost the more I see of it, the less I think there's any good to be said for it. It is a way of bugging people. If you arrive for your appointment early, you are defined as anxious. If you arrive late, you're defined as hostile. If you're happy, you're euphoric. If you're not happy, you're melancholic. If you're afraid of something, you're paranoid. Every conceivable way is devised of putting the patient down. Alan Watts goes on to talk about schizophrenia, and he says that schizophrenia is a kind of self fulfilling prophecy because when anybody puts you in that position, it makes you the patsy. You can't help acting in an odd way. If you say, in defense, now look, everybody, you're putting a thing over on me. I'm perfectly sane, they say in reply. Why are you so insisting on it? Methinks thou dost protest too much. It's a very difficult situation to be in. Never send anyone to an insane asylum. Do anything with them, anything, because that's the trap. They get in. He goes on to say, of course, you want to go to an insane asylum just as to have no responsibility and just to get out of the whole mess. He says, I think there are some people who do that. So having your meal served to you, having a place to sleep, having access to a shower, a bathroom, uh, whether it's jail or an insane asylum, you've got structure. You've got your needs provided for you, and that's the appeal. You don't have to be responsible. Alan Watts goes on to write or to say, above all, watch out in this country for this kind of psychiatric fascism. In the next passage, he goes on to say, now the way to get out of an insane asylum is very subtly to flatter one of the psychiatrists and cooperate with him to the utmost, not too quickly, but in a sort of gradual way, as to give him the impression that his method of treatment is working in your case. Because he wants to write a paper, you see, and publish it in a psychiatric journal showing that a certain method, a certain technique is really good, and you will cooperate with that idea. You'll do everything he tells you, but just with a certain little subtle resistance to him. See? He'll immediately spot you as someone who is playing funny business if you cooperate completely. So the little bit of resistance and a little bit of doubt or non-cooperation um, is a vital part because if you cooperate completely, then you're up to something. It's suspicious. Just gently let it be understood that his therapy is working, and they'll release you. One of the great parts of Zen training is to get you free from Zen. If you don't get free from Zen, you suffer from what is called Zen stink. And this next passage is about anger and yelling and screaming. And Alan Watts says, you really have to be in a state of the screaming memes to get in, or somebody has to dislike you very much. But you are deprived of all civil rights. You are no longer considered as a person. You are depersonified in a negative sense. And so if you go to a mental hospital, you become a lower outcast. You are no longer human, and you get frightened. You get scared out of your wits because you suddenly begin to realize that you cannot communicate with people because they look at you in a funny way about everything you say.